This could be a tough video to make, but it's all for fun, so I'll do it. What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you guys didn't catch my last video, we picked up that little red rocket back there, so I'll put a link up top here to go watch that video. But in today's video, this is something I've been putting off for a while. We are going to talk about how much it costs to build this, or in general, a 450 to 500 horsepower Subaru STI. Now, this video is going to be in a couple of sections. I'm going to talk about how much it cost me to get my STI to exactly where it is today. I'm going to talk about how much each mod cost that I needed to get to 500 horsepower. And for those of you that are going to say this is clickbait, that is 500 horsepower because my car made 470 on the dyno. If it's 470 at the wheels, probably over 500 crank. So just let me say it's 500, okay? One day we'll get there. One day we'll be on the 85. But right now she makes enough sauce for me. So if you guys are new to the channel and you don't know what I've done to this thing, I highly suggest you go back and watch the entire build of building this car because it was such a cool experience. And this is basically the car that started it all for me. Okay, let's do it. So I made a list on my phone, so bear with me. First thing I'm gonna go over on this is just the parts that I needed to put into this to make 500 horsepower. So basically only the go fast parts. The part that I thought was super important that a lot of people don't understand is so important is fuel mods. And that's why this is my first category here. So to make the power that I'm at, you can go one of two ways with injectors. As an example in this video, I'm gonna use Cobb or Injector Dynamics injectors just because that's what I ran in my car. You can either go with the Cobb 1050Xs or the Cobb 1300X2s or ID Injector Dynamics. They're all the same thing. You're gonna be getting close to the max on 1050s if you run 1050s and you're shooting for that 450, 500 range. But if you get 1300s, you're gonna have a little bit of wiggle room there. Maybe if you wanna go E85, you could go E85 and still have a little bit of room to grow. So just so you guys know the costs of them, Cobb 1050X injectors in Canadian are $783. Oh, and by the way, everything in this video is going to be in Canadian dollar. I'm not from the States, so I didn't convert any of these to US. The Cobb 1300X2 injectors ran me $1,305.60 for 4 injectors. I'm already freaking out over $1,000. This is going to be a long video. Next thing is fuel pump. In my car, I have the AEM 340 liter per hour fuel pump in the stock hanger or fuel basket, whatever you want to call it, because that pump fits in the factory hanger for these cars. So it's a really good pump to run if you guys want to make 400 to 500 horsepower. It will do that for you. On pump gas, E85, you'll probably need a bigger pump. That pump ran me $169.24. Honestly, probably the cheapest mod out of the entire build. Now we're gonna get to the fuel pressure regulator. I ran the Radium fuel pressure regulator and plumbing kit. So it came with the pressure regulator, all the lines you need. It came with all the fittings. It came with actual mechanical fuel pressure gauge with the dial and everything that I just mounted on one of my fuel lines up top there. That entire kit came out to $477.97, which is honestly pretty cheap compared to most complete fuel pressure regulator kits out there, and Radium makes good quality shit. Next up was my Radium fuel rails. Those ran me $258.33. Now I'm gonna put these in there. A lot of people don't run these. I did. Honestly, in my opinion, you should. They're very, very important for consistent fuel delivery. I got 2 Radium fuel pulse dampers, and 2 of them ran me $234.42. So one thing I do wanna say about fuel pulse dampers is if you guys are running them in a series fuel system, you only need 1. If you're doing a parallel system without a return and you're blocking off the end of the rails like I did, you're gonna need 2 and you're gonna mount 1 on each rail. Only because each feed system is an individual fuel line, so they're not like a series system where all the lines are connected. If you're running a series system, you only need 1 fuel pulse damper. You can realistically mount it anywhere in the system on the return or on the feed, because in a series system, all fuel pressure throughout the whole system is equal. So if you're running a series system, you can save a little bit more on fuel pulse dampers, but some people don't even run them anyway. Next thing, I'm gonna include this in fuel delivery. Technically it could be an intake mod, but it's what your injectors mount to, so I just put it in fuel. Radium TGV deletes. Those ran me $374.61. Again, not sure the prices on other stuff. You could run IAG, you could run, I don't know, Grimspeed probably makes some. There's lots of different brands you can go with here. I'm just telling you guys what I did. So if you guys want to run that exact same fuel system with the 1050X injectors, that will run you $2,297.57. If you're gonna run that fuel system with the 1300X2 injectors, that's gonna run you $2,820.17. So that is just fuel mods. Now we're gonna move on to our force induction / intake mods. Kind of the same, we could basically call it like an air delivery mods, I guess, or force induction mods. It's all the same thing. First thing I'm gonna start with is the turbo, because everybody loves turbo. Turbos are sick. On my car, I ran a Garrett GTX 3576 Gen 2 dual ball bearing turbo. That turbo ran me $3,283.38. Holy shit, that's a lot. It like sounds worse when I say it out loud than when I said it in my head. And the forced induction stuff is where it gets expensive. Next thing that I'm running is the ETS rotated turbo kit. Now you don't have to run a rotated kit if you want to make this kind of power. Realistically, you can make this power stock location. It's just, I'm not a fan of ramming a huge 3-inch intake pipe under the intake manifold on these cars. Rotated looks 10 times better and it's 10 times cleaner. That ETS rotated turbo kit ran me $3,738.64. So alone there, just with the turbo and the turbo kit, we're already over 7 grand in forced induction mods. And we're just getting started. Next ETS part on the list is the ETS front mount intercooler piping for a rotated turbo. If you're stock location, you can buy the ETS kit that is for a stock location turbo. But if you're rotated like me, you will want to buy the ETS front mount intercooler kit that is for a rotated turbo. And it'll give you an option on the site when you buy it. That front mount intercooler piping alone, without the intercooler, ran me $1,128.80. And that's before I powder coated all of it. That's just like raw material. They send it to you, wrinkle black, whatever color it is. Next thing is this big old intercooler down there. I got the 3.5-inch one. You could also get a 3-inch or a 4-inch or a 5-inch, I believe. I opted for them to powder coat this intercooler black from ETS and with the white stencil on it. So it costs a little bit more than if you're just gonna get this stainless steel core. But that intercooler ran me $1,074.40. Man, I'm gonna say ran me a lot in this video. I'm about to switch it up. Cost, ran, burned a hole in my pocket. I don't know. Next part, I included this in forced induction because it is part of the forced induction system. My Tile Q blow-off valve. Now you can get any blow-off valve in the world that you want, but Tile makes really, really good quality stuff, so does HKS. But I got the Tile because it sounds the best and I've heard a lot of good reviews about it. Next part is very, very important. It is the Cobb 3-port boost controller. Now, again, you can run any boost controller you want, Grimspeed, Baron, whatever. But my Cobb 3-port cost me $166.75. Next part, this isn't mandatory. If you're gonna ceramic coat your stuff, you don't have to do this, but I did it just for extra safety, was a PTP turbo blanket. It's not really part of the forced induction system, but it keeps everything around the turbo cool, so I just included it. That cost $244.73. Another part of forced induction that I don't really want to include in here because they kind of suck ass and they just leak is the IAG 8mm phenolic spacers. They cost $81.82. You can buy them if you want. They give you more room under the intake manifold, but I had to put silicone on mine to get them not to leak. And even with silicone on the gaskets on either side, they literally leak through the spacer itself. Like if you do a boost leak test and you spray them, bubbles come out of the spacer itself. So it's like an unnecessary boost leak. Total cost of all the forced induction mods were $9,997.36. Almost hit that 10K mark just in boost mods. Wow. Okay, let's move on to exhaust. Part of that forced induction cost was exhaust, I guess, technically, because the ETS kit comes with the up pipe and the down pipe, but I'm not going to include that in my exhaust costs. In my exhaust mods, the only things I put on here were my Tomei equal length headers, which were $1,074.40. Next thing was my Tomei catback, which was $1,580.75. If you guys watch videos, you know I don't have the Tomei on it anymore, but that's because it was too loud. I traded for the Cobb, and the Cobb sounds 10 times better in my opinion. If you didn't catch that video, I'll put a little link to that up top as well. Total cost of exhaust mods with all Tomei stuff, just the headers and the catback, was $2,655.15. Wow, this is getting expensive. Let's move on to cooling mods. I didn't go too crazy with cooling mods. I built a lot of it myself rather than buying kits. Like I didn't buy a new expansion tank. I actually deleted the expansion tank. So my cooling mods weren't too bad. I'm gonna put this on here, even though I don't even have it in the car yet, but I bought it. I'm gonna put it in here this winter. The Mishimoto aluminum rad cost $436.49. Getadom tune or Jetadom tune, I don't know which one it is. Cylinder 4 cooling mod ran me $115.60. Again, there's other companies that make a cylinder 4 cooling mod out there. I'm just telling you what my price was. Then the coolant expansion tank delete, I put the cost on here just because I did it. It cost me about $50 just in raw material, probably buying hose and hose clamps and just supplies you'll need to cut the hard lines and stuff like that just to build the entire expansion tank delete. So total cost of cooling mods was $552.09. That's probably the cheapest like collective group of mods on this list. Moving on to clutch mods. One thing that's sick about STIs is that transmission is an absolute tank. I have launched that thing like a million times. This car has 200,000 kilometers on it. That transmission has 200,000 kilometers on it. And if you guys saw my track video, I'll put a little link to that up top here too. You know how hard I drive this thing. So you save a lot of money in STIs because you do not have to build drivetrain stuff. Everything needs to go into the engine because these engines are pretty soft, honestly. So clutch mods, I got the ACT SB10 XTSS clutch kit, which is just the extreme duty clutch kit, but that's the part number. That ran me $905.76. That is still a single plate clutch, just a pressure plate and a full face disc. It's not a 6-puck, and it's supposed to be good for 600 and some torque, and I'm only making 470 wheel and 418 torque, so it handles it just fine, doesn't slip at all. I resurfaced my flywheel. If you guys buy another flywheel, that's gonna cost you a lot more money. So I opted for the stock flywheel. I just resurfaced mine. That costs about 90 bucks. So total cost of clutch mods was $995.76, which is not too bad. Now we're gonna go with, I put it down here as engine life / oil mods, because it's kind of both. NGK Iridium spark plugs cost me $72.07. Killer Bee oil pickup and baffle, that's a huge one, $288.55. Then the IAG Competition Series AOS cost $528.72. That's a huge one. Honestly, if you live in a province or state where you do not have emissions laws, buy the Competition Series and get it too. The Competition Series vents straight to atmosphere, so that is guaranteed zero oil in your intake whatsoever. The Street Series still vents some back to the intake, so up to you what you want to do. I live in Alberta, we have no emissions, and if you're getting it tuned already, why not? You're gonna need a tune for all the other mods you're doing, just get the Competition Series. Total cost of engine life / oil mods was $889.34. Now we're gonna move on to mounts, because there ain't no way you're doing this shit with stock engine mounts or tranny mount or pit stop mount unless you want to blow them up, which is fine if you want to do that. It's up to you. But if you want to be safe, I'd probably get different mounts. So for the mounts, I got IAG everything, all Competition Series. IAG Competition Series engine mounts was $276.94. IAG Competition Series pit stop mount was $125.88. IAG Competition Series transmission mount was $314.71. Another mount that's not really drivetrain related is the IAG AOS pit stop mount. Honestly, an amazing mount in my opinion. I mounted it on the other side of where the pit stop mount is supposed to sit, but that's because I have the front mount intercooler piping and it would have looked ugly, so I wanted to fill that empty space in my engine bay. But I made it work, and that mount ran me $62.93. Another thing I included in this that you don't really need, but it makes driving the car feel 10 times better, is the cob shifter bushings. They were $83.98. So if you're spending this much money, honestly, just get them, or whatever shifter bushings you want. If you want Cartboy solid shifter bushings, get those, but the cob ones feel pretty good. So total cost of mounts with the shifter bushings included was $864.44. Now let's move on to sensors, gauges, and tuning. So a lot of electrical stuff here. First, let's start with gauges. I got the AEM X Series gauges, and my wideband AFR gauge cost me $241.45. My X Series boost gauge cost me $235.96. My SMY dual gauge pod bezel that kind of sits up right around your whole instrument cluster there and has the two little Mickey Mouse ear gauges, that cost me $163.80. Then, because I bought X Series gauges, I realized this after I bought them, but then you have to buy adapters to fit into the SMY bezel. So the two SMY X Series gauge adapters were 52 bucks for two of them. Then, if you're doing this, I highly suggest switching over to speed density. The AEM IAT sensor, I bought it off Amazon. It was $87.15. I also wired it in myself because I built my harness. I didn't buy anything from iWire that's like a plug and play kit. If you want to do that, you can. It's just going to cost more money. Those are probably like 150, 200 bucks from iWire for a plug and play kit to convert to speed density. But if you watch my videos, you would know it's super easy just to wire it yourself. Next thing is the Cobb fuel pressure sensor, which was $290.70. That's a pretty expensive sensor actually. And I feel like it's not even that expensive. They just rebrand it Cobb and slap a little sticker on it, so then it's $290. But it's good quality. It reads good on my access port. So next thing I tossed in here was the add a fuse kit for wiring the gauges. Cost about 20 bucks. If you guys watch my gauge install video, I'll put a little link to that up top here as well. Then And you got your cob access port, which is the most important mod on this list. The access port allows you to access the factory ECU, allows you to make adjustments, allows you to tune the car. And you got launch control and 5-foot shifting and all that fun stuff too. Total cost of sensors, gauges, and tuning with the access port, that's why I said tuning. This doesn't include the actual dyno tune. Costs $1,994.56. Next section's just gonna be the air pump delete. I just put the cost of my block off plates in here. They were $90.20. I got the Torque Solutions ones. Honestly, I don't even know if you can buy air pump block off plates anymore. They might have put a stop to that. Probably have to build them yourself. I'm not really sure. But yeah, around 90 bucks for those. Next thing is just gonna be miscellaneous costs. Just for like hoses, hose clamps, any other clamps you need, oil, filters, coolant, seals, electrical supplies, etc., etc. All the stuff you're gonna need, just miscellaneous stuff. I'd honestly budget about 500 bucks. For one, a big part of that is oil and filters and stuff is expensive if you buy good quality oil. But other than that, hoses, hose clamps, stuff like that, it's not that expensive, but a lot of small things add up. And there's always gonna be something that goes wrong with your build when you're doing it. So it's good to budget a little bit of extra side cash. And I'm lucky I did because ETS sent me the wrong turbo kit, so I had to modify the whole precision turbo kit to fit my Garrett turbo. But we don't talk about that anymore. It's a sensitive topic. So now, if you guys wanted to just send it stock block and like not build your block or not get an IAG block with forged internals or closed deck block or anything like that, if you're feeling sendy, the total cost of everything I just said without an engine build is $22,175.09. Wow, just for sporting mods to make the power. Now we gotta talk about thing that actually contains the power and makes it all happen. Now let's talk about the cost to build your engine. I honestly didn't put the cost of an IAG block in here. You guys can research that yourself. I'm putting the cost of what it would cost you if you were to build your engine yourself and what it cost me to build my engine. Before we get into this, I just want to say I didn't personally build the bottom end of my engine. When I got this engine, I was 16 years old, no idea what I was doing. I didn't want to mess shit up. So I took the engine out myself, I took it to a shop, and I paid a shop to build my engine, just to make sure it was done 100% properly and it could handle the sauce. So first, let's start. If I would have built my engine myself, this is what it would have cost. And the parts I would have needed. Wait, actually on this list, these are the parts that are in my engine. So if I would have built my engine myself, this is what it would have cost me. Let's start with pistons. 0.25 oversized Manley forged pistons, $759.43. Manley steel H-beam rods, $564.45. King Racing rod bearings, $214.17. King Racing 5 thou oversized mainline bearings, $149.75. Wow. Rod bearings are more expensive than mains? What the hell? I didn't even know that. All right, moving on. Replace your oil pump anytime you're building an engine. I'm gonna put the cost of an OEM oil pump here. Don't buy an aftermarket one, just put an OEM pump in it. OEM oil pump costs $239.54. Depends what Subaru dealer you're buying from, honestly. That was my cost on it. Next would be a timing kit. So your belt, idler pulleys, water pump, tensioner, everything you need. This was the kit I bought, which was a Coney Tech timing belt kit, and it was $419.33. Next is gonna be ARP 11 mil head studs. You don't need 14 mil head studs realistically to make 500 horsepower. 11 mil head studs will handle 25-30 pounds of boost just fine. Once you get over that, I would start thinking about putting some bigger head studs in. So the ARP 11 mil head studs were $312.07. Now, if you're gonna rebuild your block like I did, there's gonna be some machine work, labor costs. So to micro polish, jet wash, and measure my crankshaft to make sure it was 100% good to go was 165 bucks. Or you could buy a new crankshaft. It's up to you. I don't know what the new cost for crankshaft is though. I'm just gonna say what it costs to machine mine because I didn't replace mine. Short block machine work. So that's them actually honing the cylinder, boring it out, torque plating it, measuring it, everything like that was $825. Next is gonna be the head machine work. So them cutting valves, lapping valves, whichever one they're gonna do. Depends if they're reusing or replacing or whatever. I got a 3-angle valve job done on my heads. They tested valve springs. They tested the actual seal on the valve seat by leak testing the heads or pressure testing, however you wanna say it. And that ran me 854 bucks. Now, another thing I did while I was there, you have it apart. I guarantee they're probably gonna be out of spec anyways if you have it apart, is your valve guides. There's 16 of them because you have a guide for each valve. And 16 valve guides only cost $65.28. So not that bad. Then one thing that I strongly advise, if you're building an engine, put new valve locks in it, please. If it's a fresh engine build, don't cheap out and put the old valve locks in there because they could have maybe worn out over time. I doubt it, but do you really want to risk putting an old valve lock on there and then all of a sudden it's just going to let go and the valve spring's just going to shoot off? You're going to drop a valve into your cylinder? Probably not. Put new valve locks on it. Those cost $16.96 for 32 of them because there's 2 per valve. Now again, I didn't replace my valves and I didn't replace my valve springs. I tested the spring pressure on the valves. They were all within spec and my valves were all straight and they sealed properly. So I didn't replace those. Now let's talk about engine seals. Please don't buy aftermarket seals on a Subaru. Don't buy a Felpro kit. Don't buy a Malhi or Mahli kit, however you say it. It sounded like I was choking when I said that. Mahli. Don't buy aftermarket gasket kits, honestly. Buy OEM gaskets and seals, especially on a Subaru. Because if you have a valve cover leak, you're whipping the engine out of the car. Unless you want to do it in, which is hell. So you're probably taking the engine out. In my experience, I have put aftermarket gaskets on this car many times. They always leak. I put a set of Malhi cam seals in, they leaked. I put a set of OEM ones in, have not had a leak since. This is honestly a cost that nobody thinks about when they're building a car, and it is a lot to properly seal your engine. My cost was $731 for all OEM seals. That includes the OEM multi-layer steel head gaskets, valve cover seals, spark plug tube seals, all the banjo crush washers, the oil pan O-ring, your silicone, your miscellaneous coolant and PCV hoses that you'll need to replace, and other miscellaneous stuff that you're gonna need for building your engine, like cam gear bolts, different buckets for setting valve lash, different buckets for setting valve lash. All that cost me $731. So total cost, if you want to build the engine yourself, and this is you doing all of the labor yourself, with every part that I just told you and all the machine work I just told you, is going to cost you $5,315.98 to build the engine 100% yourself, other than machine work you're paying for. Now let's talk about what I paid an engine shop to build my engine. I took them a full long block. I didn't even take my heads off. I took them a full long block and said, go, build my engine, please. I don't know what I'm doing. Now I know what I'm doing, so I probably would build it myself now. But little 16-year-old me was just like, go, please do it. I want to make the sauce. I want to go fast, build my engine. And they did it. The total for my engine build was $8,767.38. So you are saving over $3,000 by building that engine yourself. That's almost the cost of parts to build the engine. If you have the knowledge to do it yourself, do it yourself. It'll honestly be a more satisfying feeling when you get it running. You'll be pumped, like, yeah, I built this. No, it's not really like that. It's just like terrifying, honestly. You go to turn the key and you're just like shitting your pants. Total cost under the hood of this beast with the engine build. So we're taking our total costs under the hood without the engine build, which was $22,175.09. We're adding in the engine build of what I paid for it. My total cost under the hood of this car, $30,942.47. Why did I not build a Honda? Almost 31 grand to make 470 horsepower. This thing rips though, it's totally worth it. So that is the cost under the hood of what it cost me to get to 500 horsepower. So if that's all you came to this video for, you can leave now or click off the video, whatever you want, or you keep watching because now I'm gonna tell you guys the cost of everything it took me to get my STI to where it is today, which is a lot of money. Because like I said before, that $30,900 is just between here and here, just in the engine bay. $30,000. I could have put a down payment on a house. But you can sleep in your car, you can't drive your house. Now I'm gonna tell you guys what it cost me to get this car to where it is today. I already went over this before, but for my engine build, it's a little bit different because the first time I built my engine, I didn't put head studs in it. Then I pulled it out and I put head studs in it and resealed the entire engine because like I said before, the entire aftermarket gasket set was basically leaking, like almost every seal. So I had to pull it out, reseal it, put head studs in it, and slap it back in to handle the big boost. So the engine build, like I said before, was $8,767.38. Then I added on the $731 it cost me to reseal it and put the head studs in and stuff like that, which comes out to a total of $9,498.38 just for the engine build. So that's just internals. Then we tack on our underhood supporting mods, which was $19,524.56 plus the $900 dyno tune. So we're already about 30 grand right there, just with the engine build and the supporting mods under the hood. Now we get to to the biggest attention grabber in my engine bay, which is the engine bay design. I got my entire engine bay professionally painted by City Collision here in Edmonton, Alberta, with that red metal flake paint that I have. And if you guys didn't catch that video, I'll put a little link up top to when I got my engine bay painted and my first reaction to it. It was absolutely amazing. Like, I couldn't even believe it was my car. But that engine bay paint, and this is me getting a deal, cost me $1,668. But that also wasn't just my engine bay paint. I also got the rockers repainted and got all the rust fixed on the rockers. And I also got some rust fixed on my front quarter panels and got them repainted. So that's included in that cost. Then every part in my engine bay that is powder coated, ceramic coated, anything like that was all done by the Wheel Clinic Edmonton. And that cost me a total of $1,135.28 just to get all the colorful shit in the engine bay. Doesn't affect functionality whatsoever, just to make it look pretty was like 1,100 bucks. Then all the braided loom and everything like that that I bought from auto parts stores for my fuel lines, for my wire harness that I built, just to clean up everything in the engine bay and make it look pretty was $160.85 just in wire loom and hose sleeving and stuff like that. So just in custom engine bay designs, I ran a total of $2,964.13. Now let's move out of the engine bay and talk about steering and suspension mods. I have BC Racing BR Series coilovers, which cost $1,201.50. I swapped my power steering rack with the 2015 STI power steering rack for the shorter gear ratio and better steering response. Just for the part OEM from Subaru, that cost me $1,212.33. Then I have a Perrin 22mm rear sway bar, which cost about $370.92. I got lucky, that came with my car. I just had to repaint it and clean it up nice. Then I have Perrin urethane rear sway bar links, which cost $262. Then I have the 22mm Perrin rear sway bar bushings, which cost $41.12. Then the wheel alignment, after putting the coils in and everything like that, it was free for me. I do it myself. I work at a shop. I know how to do alignment, so I did my own wheel alignment. But for you guys, it probably costs around 140 bucks at a shop. Depending if you want to get a custom alignment done like what I did with -2.5 camber all around, then it might cost you a little bit more, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So the steering and suspension mods in total, including getting alignment done for 140 bucks, cost $3,227.87. But I didn't pay for alignment, so me doing the labor on the alignment cost $3,087.87. Now let's move on to my wheel and tire setup. Right now for tires, I'm running a 265/35 R18 Zestino Acrova tire, which I got a really good deal on those, and I paid 600 bucks for all four. Then all my wheels, I'm very lucky. These wheels came with the car and I really like them, so I didn't have to spend money on wheels. But if you were to buy these wheels, they're an NK TX5. They're 18 by 9.5 with a 35 offset, and brand new, they run you about $1,112. Then on my wheels and tires, I have Mishimoto red lug nuts, and those cost me $87.79. So in total, my wheel and tire setup is worth about $1,879.79. Now let's talk about body stuff. This car is a 2010 STI, and a lot of you probably noticed it has a 2014 STI front bumper on it, or 2011 to 14, and the 2011 to 14 STI grille. For the 2014 STI front grille with the Subaru badge and the STI badge, I paid $384.72, and that is with a wholesale discount because I work at a dealership. For the front bumper and the fog light covers, I paid $463.12, and again, that's my wholesale cost through my dealership. Then we got the Pro Tuning Labs DRL switchback headlights. These cost me $453.99. Then I actually repainted the entire car, again, done professionally by City Collision here in Edmonton, Alberta. This cost isn't really accurate because my car got keyed on one side. If you scroll way, way down to the very beginning of my Instagram, you would see when I was like a newbie at Instagram and stuff like that, I posted when my car got keyed, but I actually filed an insurance claim for that, and I ended up just paying to paint the rest of the car at the same time. So minus the cost that insurance covered, I paid out of my pocket $2,820.19. So that brings the total cost of my body conversion of this car to $4,122.02. Next, let's go on to the interior, which I don't really have much done to the interior of this car, to be honest. It's pretty basic and pretty stock, but I have a Pioneer head unit. At the time, it was like a really, really nice head unit. That was before like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto was like a thing. That ran me 525 bucks. That was probably like 3 or 4 years ago I bought that. Then my snap-on shift knob, I put a little note in here, rest in peace, my snap-on screwdriver. That was free, unless you want to like count the cost of a snap-on screwdriver. I don't know, like 50 bucks for a snap-on screwdriver because they're stupidly priced. But yeah, I busted it, and then I was like, I could warranty this, or I could make a dope shift knob. Next thing is a carbon fiber wrap on my interior. All my interior trim panels are wrapped with like a carbon fiber vinyl wrap kind of thing. That cost 45 bucks for a huge roll of it off Amazon. Then my gauges on the inside, I included that in the supporting mods when I talked about that before. So the interior total comes out to about 570 bucks for everything on my interior because I haven't really done much. Actually, that's a lie. I just realized on this list, I totally forgot about all the interior lights I have and everything like that. All my interior lights are Type S LED strips, and they're controlled by a module. I can control all the lights on my phone. Those cost me about 100 bucks. So it was 570 bucks. Let's tack on 100 bucks to that, make it 670. Math. Then for underhood dress up parts, like this parent rad shroud, the parent belt cover, and I had a good battery in this before, but it was blue. And how ugly would a blue battery look in this engine bay? So I bought a new battery for it. I consider that my underhood dress up because I didn't really need it, but I did it anyways. The parent belt cover was $102.19. The rad shroud was $82.22. And the battery was 85 bucks. So that brings that to a total of $269.42. Just in little engine bay dress up components. So that brings the total cost of me building this STI to $42,916.16. Damn. And I bought it for 15 grand. And I've done a lot of maintenance in between there that cost money. Shit. That's like 61 grand. $61,000 into a Subaru. It was worth it, she rips. It's fun. All right, that is gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And maybe it gave you guys like a idea of what it's gonna cost to go balls out on a Subaru. But I guess the big question after breaking all that down and seeing how much it actually costs, for me, honestly, that's my first time actually going through it and really reading what I spent on this thing. And do I regret it? Not at all. Not even a little bit. This thing rips. Like on camera, I've had people comment, oh, there's no way this thing makes 500 horsepower. It looks like maybe like 300. No, dude, like I can't describe how hard this thing puts you in the seat. Like 470 wheel horsepower in a Subaru is nuts. Like I can't wait till I make more one day, maybe. I don't know, I've spent so much money. Maybe we've got to spend more. But first we got to make some power in that thing. And everybody says, oh, it's just a Miata. Why would you buy a Miata? That thing's gonna rip. You guys just wait. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys haven't already, again, I hate asking this, but go hit that subscribe button. And honestly, comment on the videos what you think of them because it gives me ideas, it gives me feedback. It lets me know what I did wrong, what I could be doing better. So yeah, thank you guys for watching me talk about my money pit. Peace out. I will catch you guys in the next one.